¿Qué es la cultura? That's a deep question and a surface question. In other words, ¿qué es la cultura? What is culture? And culture is everything that surrounds us. Right now, I'm probably sitting in an example of surface culture, or culture you can see. You can see what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a pin that has the Aztec calendar on it. I'm wearing a huipil, which is made by women in Guatemala in the area of Oaxaca. I'm sitting in a patio, and I'm sitting next to the Virgen de Guadalupe, which is a symbol of a religious culture, but also cultural history. So there's some overt symbols, and let me just talk a little bit about the Virgen de Guadalupe, because even though I am not Catholic, so for me she's not a religious symbol, she is a historical, cultural symbol for me. So what she embodies for myself as a Mexican American is that she's a symbol of what happens in the Americas. And she's a very graphic symbol in the fact that it talks about the history of how the Americas were civilized or popular. It's a symbol of how when the Spaniards came to the Americas, they brought the religion over here, and all white images. And so for the very first time in the Americas, you have a mestizo image in a religious symbol or in a virgen. So that is why that cultural history is important to know. So culture that you can see also has some embeddedness in it, in terms of finding out what is the deep meaning of some of those cultural things. So like I said, she's not a religious symbol for me. She's a symbol of my cultural identity because she embodies the history as an official symbol of when the mestizos are embodied in a saint figure. So that's one element about that. But why is culture important? It's important because we need to know who we are and what our cultural representations are. So our cultural representations cover many things. They cover your gender, they cover your ethnicity, it covers your age, it covers your religion, it covers the social space that you're in. So everything that is in your context, you need to understand what that is in order to be able not only to appreciate it, but to use it as a resource. So the more that you can identify and articulate about what are the cultural symbols in your life, the more you develop in terms of cultural resources and a cultural being. So if you can recognize that in the context that you are as a person or as a teacher, it means you can go into whatever community, whatever school, whatever classroom, and start identifying what are the values, how does that community practice cultural values, how do they, in other words, how do they respect different genders, how do they greet each other, what do they do that celebrate what's important, and what is it that governs their belief system, and also the perspectives they have of the world. So once you can do that, then you can start recognizing some universalities that exist between your own particular cultural identity and that cultural identity of your community or school or classroom, and in particular about your children are the students in your classroom. So it's important then to be able to think about what richness or what resources they bring. If you think of someone who is a bicultural person, that is a person who can operate in more than one culture, just think about that. Think about the effect on their cognition. So being bicultural or understanding more than one culture has a positive effect on cognition. So it gives you that flexibility where you can operate on many different levels, so that if you go into a school situation, you know how to behave. You know what the culture is of a school. And in particularly here in the United States, we know that the language of a school is that of English. But we all, if we're in a dual language program, we know then that the language is bilingual, whatever two languages those might be. So you know how to operate in those two aspects. So culture does socialize us. It socializes it into the context that we operate in. So that the socialization you might have in a community culture, a home culture, understanding all those values, those traditions, those belief systems, being able to see the world from that point of view, enhances you to be, in terms of the flexibility here. You can go into a school culture, for example, and understand what that means. So, culture is important. It's important to know your culture as all the cultural resources that you might have, and it's important to understand the culture of others, to be able to identify the cultural factors on a surface level, those that you can see and those that you cannot see. Those are belief systems. So, ¿qué es la cultura? La cultura es algo muy importante para nosotros.